I sat down one day and was like, you know what? I'm a bit busy this week. It doesn't matter if I don't make a video. And just like that, I lost my ability to make Booktube videos. Hi everyone, Rosie here. Welcome back to my channel. I haven't taken a break this long since I started my channel. I didn't plan to take a break this long. I thought I was gonna skip like 1 week because I was a bit busy that weekend, and I was like, you know what? I'm just not gonna do it this week. Don't want to cause stress. And all of a sudden, any thought, desire, ability to sit down and talk about books sort of just evaporated from my life for like a month. Not totally sure it's coming back, but like I want it to. It's time for my July wrap up because like we're well into August. I thankfully did not read that much in July, so hopefully this will be a short video to film and a short video to make. But the first book that I finished the first book that I finished in July, I've already reviewed because it was Thief of Time by Terry Pratchett, I think. Might have been a different one, honestly. I can't remember at this point. But that was actually at the end of my June wrap-up because I read most of it in June. So the first book that I'll be reviewing in this video is Space Oddities by Joe Cuhaj. This was an e-arc. I forgot to write down the publisher, but thank you to Nick Gelly and whoever the publisher was. I think this came out in July or just at the beginning of August, if I remember correctly. And it's a lighthearted exploration of some of the less well-known history of space travel. If I'm looking off to the side a lot right now, it's because that's where my notes are. Actually, wait, this is dumb. If I put the notes behind the camera, I can read the notes and still look at you. All right, this was fun. I read it while on vacation. It was definitely a nonfiction vacation-y read for me, just that like, ooh, fun, interesting, popcorn facts, yes, please tell me more. It was short, it was easy to read, it was like very accessible, you didn't need to know anything going in. I felt it explained the concepts and the information it needed well, and it definitely had some very interesting stories in it. It didn't feel like a book to me. It felt like if you had a museum about this topic and took all of the informational panels off the wall, excuse me, and formatted them into a book, then this is what you would get. And I love museums. I often choose to visit museums while traveling and in my own city. But like, the plaques are fun in context, right? They're interesting because I'm reading this information and then looking at something and like interacting with more than just the text. I'm not just standing, reading a plaque, then the next one, then the next one, which I don't know about you guys, but that's how I consume books. You know, I read one page after the next. And this just like wasn't the vibe. The tone didn't really work for me. Back at the beginning of July when I actually finished this book, I wrote that it felt like it was written in the most inoffensive way possible. And all the soul and character were taken out. Like, again, it felt like museum plaques. And like, just like averagely good museum plaques, not like really exceptional ones. I don't know. The serious topics were not addressed as deeply and like seriously as I would have liked. Like, if you're gonna bring up some of the many serious issues in the history of space travel, I'd like maybe a bit of, okay, I'm going to get into this, as opposed to just being like, oh, and also, by the way, all these dogs were dying in orbit. Moving on. Right? Like, which isn't the tone exactly. I'm probably being overly critical here, but like, I don't know, that just I didn't love that. And the flip side of that, of course, is that the humor just wasn't funny. It was like, just, this humor is trying to be funny to so many people that it is funny to no one. I thought the topic was really cool. It's something that, in general, I'm still interested in. I learned some cool stuff, but just like, this isn't the approach that I'm interested in. This wasn't the book that I wanted to read about it. And I know that my taste is not everyone's taste, and that's okay, but for me, this wasn't what I was looking for. The second book I finished in July, also quite early in the month, was Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. I'm going to mostly read my notes from when I had just finished it because I had a lot of thoughts then, and I actually wrote them down, so let's, use that. So, this was a positively enlightening reread. I'm not sure if it's my increasing familiarity with the text. I know I joke about it, but legit, I have read this book so much lately and I don't know why. I do, it's because I love it, but every time I love it even more. Or if it was the change in format, because I haven't read a physical copy since I was a kid, and I did. It was this beautiful, beautiful edition. I made a vlog about it. You can watch that here, I think. I'm pointing over the right shoulder, I don't know. And I took all sorts of notes, and that was so much fun. Oh my god, I love taking notes about this. Oh, or was it my state of mind? Because I've also been thinking a lot about storytelling in general and world building in general, and I feel like I noticed so many details that I've just never paid attention to in the past. There were so many things that I felt whoa, has this always been in this text? Because I had never noticed that sentence or the way that was done before, but that's so cool. I've also been trying to pay special attention to the songs and poems. I will admit my brain has a tendency, especially when I'm on my e-reader, to just bloop, skim over all of the songs and poetry. And I thought, I want to really, really listen and pay attention and not listen. I want to really, really read and pay attention and think about what's in the poetry and what's in the songs, because that's such an integral part of the book. Why would I just skim over? So what I've actually been doing is reading them all out loud to myself, to make myself pause and look at every word. And it's been amazing. Some of the songs that Galadriel sings as the Fellowship are leaving Lothlorien are just incredible. So much is being done within the context of these songs that, because I just didn't pay attention to them, I wasn't getting before. I've also been really, really impressed by how much history Tolkien includes in these books in such offhand ways. Something that's really struck me, because these are older editions from the 60s, is that there was, I think it was at least 20 years between when Lord of the Rings came out and when the Silmarillion came out. And there's all of this information that I don't pay any attention to because I have knowledge of the Silmarillion. I have knowledge of all of the lore that we have got from the Tolkien estate over the past decades. So for me, there's all of these little references that are oh yeah, cool, whatever. But to think about the fans who had been reading these books for 20 years going, what does that mean? What is this? What happened with this? Because you get just these little one-off snippets. And that's so cool. Yeah, I don't know, I just really, really enjoyed that. One thing I realize I always forget to do with Lord of the Rings, which is I never actually introduced the books. Maybe some of you guys can leave a comment down below and let me know. I talk about Lord of the Rings so often, and I feel like it is such a well-known series that if every time I mention it, I gave the little 15 to 30 second spiel about what is this book about, it would just be the most annoying thing ever. But would you guys find that helpful? Because I don't want to assume that something that's repetitive for me seems repetitive for you. I don't know, let me know down below. How do you guys approach this stuff? I'm very curious. I actually only have 2 more books to mention, and neither of them I'm going to go into too much depth. The first of those is The Last Hero by Terry Pratchett. I vlogged my reading experience with this. It is set in the Discworld, and it is number 26, I think, in the series. But it's not like the other novels. It's called a fable, I think, and it fits. It's the story of what happens when an old band of barbarian heroes decide to return what was stolen from the gods, and what happens in the disc as a result. It's fantastic. I highly recommend checking it out. I read it just as like the prose text, but there's also a really cool looking like graphic novel version that I want to get. I want to get that and read that because I think that would be so much fun as well. And my final book that I finished in July was Guards Guards by Terry Pratchett. I listened to this on audio for the read-along that I am co-hosting with Katja of Read Write Create, or I should know what Katja's channel is off the top of my head, but I don't, so it'll be tagged down below. Make sure you check her out. And Scott of Gunpowder Fiction and Plot, and also Kevy of Sick Heavy. We have been having such an amazing time reading the first books in many of the Discworld sub-series. Guards Guards is the beginning of the City Watch series, and it was just so much fun. There are so many great characters, so many great scenes. We had a really, really great kickoff discussion, and you can watch our live show up here if you would like to see all of our final thoughts on the book. That's actually all of the books that I finished in July. I did read a bunch of other stuff, or not a bunch. I'm still reading A Distant Mirror by Barbara Tuchman. I started this in May. I think tonight, if I can stay awake long enough, I might break 75%. So there's maybe hope for August that I'm going to finish this book. It's good. I'm really enjoying it. I have a lot of thoughts that I need to share about it at some point, but I just keep falling asleep, honestly. I'm also reading Le Comte de Monte-Cristo, The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. I'm buddy reading this with Camilla of Hasty Books, and it's going really, really well, but man, that book is long. And also we are reading it in French, and I am a lot slower in French. So even though it's really fun and I'm really getting in the groove with it, I read like a chapter a night, and that's not even 1% of the book. So it's very slow going, but very, very fun. I've also started another e-arc called Tune In Tomorrow by Randee Dawn, I think is the author's name. This is about a woman who sort of wanted to make it as an actress but hasn't yet, and she gets sucked up into a reality show for mythical beings. I picked this up because it sounded very fun and interesting, and it is. Like, what is going on here is cool. I'm into it. I just, like, have not been in the mood lately to get properly into it. Like, I know there's conflict ramping up, things are getting intense, I'm like a third of the way into the book, and I don't want to read it. I don't want to get into a story that's going to involve stress and drama right now, which is weird because, like, Monte Cristo definitely involves drama and stress, but for some reason the way it's written there is so different that it just feels like, oh, whatever. I'm not getting like emotional about this or whatever, but this one is kind of like, I don't know. I want to get into it, but like it just hasn't grabbed me yet. So I'm just sort of letting it simmer. I'm picking it up every now and then and reading another chapter or two, but I'm not making much progress. I've also read most of the Untold Story by Genevieve Cogman. This is the 8th book in the Invisible Library series, which I love, love, love. I have been listening to them on audio since January. Absolutely adore them. Such a good series. This is the last book that's been published so far. And I'm, again, about 3/4 of the way through this one, I think. I just don't want to pick it up because I left off at a cliffhanger, and I know that there's a conflict coming. I know that the end of this book is going to be good. I know that these books always leave me happy in the end. But I don't know. our heroes are in danger, and I just don't want to read that right now. So I haven't been, and I'd like to finish it soon. The completionist in me really wants to get these books just finish them. But if I'm not in the mood to read them, I don't want to force myself. I don't know what I'm going to be doing in August. I mean, it's a third of the way through the month. I have not finished a single book. I have barely read for over a week. Having been such a daily reader for so many years, it feels kind of weird right now to just not be in the mood to read sometimes. But I'm trying to roll with it and read when I feel like it and not when I don't, but also maybe like sometimes testing it out a bit and saying like, okay, well, just like sit down and read a little bit. Like, you want to get into this? I don't know. I'm continuously optimistic that tomorrow is the day I'm gonna be just like, yes, I am so excited by books again. But for now, it's sort of like, okay, if other things are drawing my attention, then that's totally fine. I hope that you have been enjoying your reading or not reading, whichever you are doing right now, right? Like, whatever's going on with you. I hope it's good. Let me know what you have been liking, not liking, all of that stuff in the comments down below. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a like. If you would like to see more of my videos, make sure you hit subscribe, and thank you for watching.